Familia, did y'all hear about this? Cubanos that have historically supported the Republican Party and have been pretty outspoken about supporting Trump are now more vulnerable than ever.
Where are my Miami Cubans at? Stand up for what you supported in 2024.
O's in when we standing on business on my beach the bar, underground methods.
And now they deported me, they kicking me out, and they breaking my family apart.
Bro, if you're on a humanitarian status, Supreme Court just said, Donald Trump, you could kick those people out.
The Supreme Court has now allowed the Department of Homeland Security to continue with the expedited removals and deportations of about 500,000 Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelans that entered the United States between 2021 and 2023 through the Humanitarian Parole program.
Where are the people that said that there weren't going to be mass deportations? Where are the people that said he's not going to do that? Where are the people that said he's not going to take away legal status from immigrants? Where are these people? I expect a certain demographic to not want to have any immigrants in this country, to want to get rid of the ones that are already here and close the doors and not allow any more in. But the thing that pisses me the most is that a great deal of Latinos help push this, help make this happen.
I just heard the news about the humanitarian protection being canceled. I hate that for the Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, and the Haitians. I love y'all. I'm from Fort Pierce. I love y'all to pieces, and I rock with y'all. Baby, whatever you need me to do, you let me know what I can do to help. But them Cubans from Miami, y'all can get the out of here. You ain't never heard me talk about going to Miami to visit. All my family from that area is gone from Miami. The only time I go down there is to shop and to eat. I don't around with South Beach. I don't around with Miami Cubans. They turn Florida red. They racist. And I tell every group of young kids, do not go down there supporting their business, because they don't fuck around with y'all. They don't like us. Talking about Latins for Trump. Look what he... It couldn't have happened to a better group of people. Y'all get the on. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of FAFO Moment. While Miami Cubans are finding out that voting for racism is never gonna get them the American citizenship that they so covet, they're now facing the consequences of voting for the very policies that are now ending up sending them back to the countries that they fled from. Well, the Supreme Court just cleared a way for Trump to deport thousands of Cubans who came to the United States through the Humanitarian Parole. Well, this is what you get when you vote for hatred. This is what you get when you vote against your best interest, just because your hatred and racism is deeper than your self-preservation. I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, like this video, and drop me your opinions in the comment section below. Let's talk about Miami Cubans FAFO moment. I'll be back with more commentary after this.
Bro, if you're on a humanitarian status, Supreme Court just said, Donald Trump, you could kick those people out. I grew up in Miami. So during the election, I was talking to all my friends back in Miami. I'm like, hey, talk to the people that's thinking about voting for Trump, because if you have family members that are on protected status or temporary status, they will fucking end up disappearing. I personally didn't know what Trump was going to do. I just thought he was going to be like, you know, like that type of guy and just, put people in jail, and well, it kind of turned out to be much worse. And now, you know what the funniest thing is that the Venezuelans was going so hard for Trump, and then they got instant regret right after election, and now they're like, oh no. And the Cubans in Miami, they were waving around with the American flag, and they were just like, oh, we'll go for Trump. We don't like communism. I said, bro, you guys are so dumb. You don't even know what you're talking about. And now all those people are gonna go bye-bye.
Familia, did y'all hear about this? Cubanos that have historically supported the Republican Party and have been pretty outspoken about supporting Trump are now more vulnerable than ever. But let's talk about this. For many decades, people that had left Cuba came to the United States and were protected from deportations. Their anti-Castro, anti-communist perspective, anti-socialist, aligned very well with the Republican Party, and they embraced that identity when they arrived to places like Florida. But under the current administration, many protections that existed have been revoked, and many people in that community are facing fear and uncertainty about what's going to happen next. Honestamente, I know for many folks it's gonna be hard to feel bad because in many ways they were asking for this for other communities, and it makes sense that they feel betrayed because they were supporting this, not expecting it to affect them. Let me add one more thing. Cuban exiles in the United States are not a monolith, so of course not all of them were pro-deportation, but the ones that were happen to be the louder voices. I know many people in the community that have been talking about this aren't going to feel any sympathy, essentially saying they effed around and found out. I for one think it's sad. The idea of people losing their livelihood and being deported is just inhumane. But I want this to be a conversation. Familia, what do you all think about this? Do you have sympathy or not? Let me know.
The first thing is I feel sorry for Latinos for Trump, because what they are is that they're trying to fit in a community that they consider to be superior to themselves. They try to appear to be part of this culture. So what they're trying to do is trying to overcome their own self-hate because they see themselves as less. And when they see themselves as less, they have to pretend to be like the group that, according to them, is above them and better than them. So when they see an immigrant, the immigrant reminds them who they are and where they come. And that causes hate because they hate to be part of that coming and they take it out on other people. So what they are is a bunch of people with a lot of self-hate that pretend to be part of a superior group, what they see as a superior group. And because they are not accepted and they will never fucking be, when they see a person like them, it creates hate in their heart because they hate themselves and the situation that they're in, that they're trying to be part of a group that they will never be part of. And that immigrant reminds them who the fuck they are, so that hurts them. That's what a Latino for Trump is. It's a person who wants to sit at a fucking table, but they won't fucking let him. And because they don't let him, he kicks everybody else out that looks like him to try to be the one to sit on the table. But at the end of the day, he's also going to get kicked out. I'm Alex. This is my rant, and I'm out.
Mi gente. I haven't done one of these in a while. Between the Cuban Adjustment Act and then when they started, when they took away their refugee status, I came on here and I talked about it again and I kind of make fun of them. But anyway, here's another one for the record. Cuban Americans take front and fucking center. Cubans for Trump. Front and fucking center. Let's talk about it, because I know you don't want to talk about it now, right? Now you're avoiding me at all fucking costs, right? And I think it's funny, but in the last fucking week, this administration has gone after you super hard. Super hard. Even those that have been in the country for a fucking while are getting detained and being threatened to be fucking deported. And he is coming after you. There goes the fucking articles. Because I know you're going to say I'm lying, but I'm not lying. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's just a matter of fucking time. Once he revoked your refugee status for you, Haitians and Venezuelans, right? Now you don't have the protections and that your ass is voted for, right? Do you remember all the videos? Your votes, voy a votar por Donald Trump. Right? Remember that? Remember that? Remember how many of you came to my page to talk shit? Who's fucking laughing now? Who's fucking laughing now? Do you think this would have taught you a lesson for midterms? Do you think it's going to teach you a lesson for 2028? I fucking doubt it. I doubt it. But I hope it does. I told you so. Again, I warned you.
The Supreme Court has now allowed the Department of Homeland Security to continue with the expedited removals and deportations of about 500,000 Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelans that entered the United States between 2021 and 2023 through the Humanitarian Parole program. The Supreme Court is allowing the Department of Homeland Security to proceed with this while the case is being litigated in federal court. Between 2021 and 2023, the Biden administration allowed more than 500,000 people from these 4 countries to bypass the visa vetting program and enter the United States through a parole, means they got a sponsor in the United States, uploaded some financials, and then these people were allowed to just come to the United States. There was a lot of fraud involved. Even the Biden administration shut it down, but then reopened it. And a lot of people have been able to enter. They were able to come for a 2-year period and even get a work permit. In January, Trump issued an executive order telling the Department of Homeland Security to terminate this program. DHS Secretary Noem went ahead and terminated it in March, and then the lawsuit was brought up in April from the recipients of the parole program, along with their sponsors, to fight the lawsuit, saying that they need to continue with their 2 years here in the United States and they just can't be uprooted like this. So the federal judge went ahead and agreed with them and said every case needs to be examined to determine whether or not they should be subject to expedited removal, and they still need to wait out their 2-year period in the United States. This went back and forth. Now it went in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, DHS, you can continue with your expedited removals and deport these people while it's going on in federal court. And if it comes back again in front of the Supreme Court, then we'll decide it then. But for now, DHS can continue doing what they set out to do back in March.
We're not even deporting people who are here without documentation. We're taking away people's documentation and then deporting them. Trump loves to throw out these numbers, like 21 million people who are here illegally. I hate that term, by the way. Next, it's going to be 61 million. But if we have so many people who are here without documentation, why do we need to be pulling visas and revoking status for people to meet our ICE quotas? Trump is making people who came here legally illegal.
So my husband's family is from Georgia, and they have a particular phrase when somebody screws themselves over. They said, well, you screwed the pooch on that one. And I think that phrase right there is very fitting for what the Venezuelans and Cubans are going through at this moment. Yeah, they definitely screwed the pooch by voting for Donald Trump. Eso pendejo nunca aprende. And I think the funniest videos that I've always made has been on those Miami Cubans that are always crying, getting upset because we put billboards talking about Donald Trump. And they're like, oh my God, this is going against America. And we have told them time and time again that Donald Trump does not like you. You are still an other. But they thought that white proximity was just going to buy them a little bit of freedom, I guess. But what makes matters worse, guys, what makes matters worse, you guys are not understanding how entrenched in the cult they are. They have their own Cubans that are not citizens, basically funding Trump's campaign, grassroots campaign, praising Donald Trump. And the same goes for Venezolanos. Their TPS status because Biden allowed them. Biden is the chance that they were over here. And same thing, they were giving money to his campaign. They were pushing Trump, all in a fucking cult. And now your asses are on the list in which he wants to implement a travel ban. What's on there? Cuba and Venezuela. That to me is outstanding, that you are not even a citizen and you are pushing Donald Trump's rhetoric. Why did you even think you were special? Well, you screwed the pooch on that one. It's funny, but not funny. And P.S., this is not meant for those Venezuelans that absolutely voted blue. You guys have a great day.
He's not just deporting illegal immigrants. He's going after people who went through the process the right way and are here legally. This administration just stripped the legal status of 500,000 plus migrants from Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, all people who are living and working here in the United States legally. They paid their own money to get here, went through our temporary protected status program, seeking refuge from their country because it's at war or there's natural disasters or other dangerous circumstances that drove them to seek refuge in our country. And the Trump administration said, your place in the process be damned. We're stripping your legal status and now you can legally be hunted down and deported. To be in this program, you need a U.S. sponsor, which is usually a family member. So he's not just ripping these people away from their work and their communities, he's ripping them away from their families. And migrants contribute billions to the economy, billions to the workforce. They enrich the culture and the diversity of the country. Who wants to live in a country where everybody looks the same, acts the same food palettes, same religions? That sounds like a nightmare to me. And this is all taking place while he fast-tracks the citizenship applications for white South Africans. Literally deporting all the black and brown immigrants and only allowing in white South Africans. We all need to be paying attention to what's happening right now because there's a lot of similarities between us and Nazi Germany.
Now do you understand that it was never about your legal status? It was just about the fact that you were not white. Trump told you that he was going to do this and you let him use you. Cubans for Trump, Latinos for Trump, dogs for slaughterhouses, and y'all voted for him. And it's just because you had too much disdain for a black woman. You could not stand to see a black woman make it into the position of power that y'all wanted, so you voted for the man who wanted to send you back to your war-torn countries. Because most of these visas, the over 500,000 visas that he's revoking are visas that Biden gave to people who were fleeing war-torn countries. Biden did so much for the country, provided so much solitude, gave the people a fighting chance, alley-ooped it up to Harris, and you guys said, no, she's black, fuck that shit. Now you have a month to self-deport. Not a month to contest, not a month to get your legal status in order. He is giving 500,000 people a month to self-deport or face deportation through ICE. And you know what ICE is now? They take you to Guantanamo Bay. They're going to make you slave labor. And you know who doesn't have rights in America? Non-citizens. I remember vividly arguing with people, letting them know that it did not matter if you got here legally. It does not matter how you are as an immigrant, if you're a model immigrant. If you are not a white American, they were not going to protect you. And we told you all. What? I just saw a video of Cubans on the boat singing Cubans are going to vote for Trump. You see the first list of people on this? Cubans. And they were one of the loudest supporters of Trump. It makes no sense. He said he was going to do this. I need to know, why did y'all vote for him when y'all knew he was going to do this?
Where are the people that said that there weren't going to be mass deportations? Where are the people that said he's not going to do that? Where are the people that said he's not going to take away legal status from immigrants? Where are these fucking people? I expect a certain demographic to not want to have any immigrants in this country, to want to get rid of the ones that are already here and close the doors and not allow any more in. But the thing that pisses me the most is that a great deal of fucking Latinos help push this shit, help make this happen. A bunch of other Latinos that came here illegally at some point, for the most part, or their parents or grandparents migrated to the United States as a necessity, seeking refuge, liberty, freedom, and all that bullshit. You know, the same fucking thing that these people from Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti are looking for. Where are the people that kept saying, we don't mind immigrants, we just want you to come here legally, the right way? Where the fuck are you now? Because these people came here the right way, came here legally, came here with paper in fucking hand. That is what pisses me off the most. Your fucking hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of the Latino, Trumpian, Republican community. And that leads me to this last point. You better fucking pray that that orange taco chicken in the White House doesn't decide to rescind, to take away citizenship from people like you and I, who are U.S. citizens, who have been U.S. citizens for decades. You better fucking pray that his fascism has some sort of limit. Because that would be fucking hilarious. That would be fucking hilarious if one day we woke up and the motherfucker's saying that we are no longer going to allow these people to hold U.S. citizenship. I will laugh, even though I will be angry. I will fucking laugh my ass off at you dumb fuckers who voted, Latinos who voted for this son of a bitch. You better pray that doesn't happen, because I will be here. I will be here laughing my ass off at your stupidity. Because the way I see it, this taking away this legal status from these people is a fucking test. A test to see what the courts would say and do. And here we have it. And for those of you who don't know, yes, a U.S. citizenship can be revoked under certain circumstances. And when you have a fascist government like the one we have right now, they will find those circumstances. to use them against certain people. See, this never was about coming here the right way, with papers in hand, the proper way, the legal way, or the illegal way. It was never about that. This is about inflicting pain, suffering, and unnecessary anguish to a group of people that have already been through pain, suffering, and unnecessary fucking anguish. What this administration is trying to do to these people, it's a crime, it's dehumanizing, it's disgusting, it's un-American. It amazes me that so many fucking people in this country that talk about freedom, that talk about fucking law and order, that talk about doing things the right way, sit idle. Not just that, but condone this kind of shit. The thing is that because it's not happening to you, it doesn't affect you, you see no problem with it. Typical American way.
Alright guys, there you have it actually. Why are people happy with, these Cubans actually being deported, back to their country? This is because of their attitude. It's because of their ego. It's because of what they stood for during the 2024 election. It's because of how they treat other people, especially people of color and even other Latinos, actually, their fellow Latinos. It's because they have a sense of superiority. They thought they were better than every other Latino, every other immigrant, because they got to come to the United States, on a special case, including Venezuelans, because most actually, Cubans had the Cuban Adjustment Act, where they could just, come to the United States, claim asylum, that they are fleeing from their country, and they would be given green cards on arrival. Yet other immigrants actually have to go through a lot of immigrants, Latino immigrants, and even other countries, other type of groups of immigrants have to go through a lot for them to even get a green card. So Cubans for Trump, Miami Cubans actually thought they were better off than everybody else. That's why they voted for hatred. They voted for racism. When they voted, they thought that we're gonna put ourselves in a favorable position with the Republicans, so that when they actually take office, they can give us more benefits. They can give us more special offers or special treatment than the other Latinos. This is what they thought, especially the Cubans and the Venezuelans. They looked down on other Latinos, they looked down on other immigrants, and they voted for hatred. They voted for racism, despite of the fact that this administration was actually showing them signs of what they were going to do. They were showing them signs to the extent of even the orange man actually telling them to their faces, I only want your votes, nothing else. I don't need you. They also went to the extent of calling one of the countries in South America, Latino country, a floating pile of garbage. Well, that should be red flag enough for you to actually think about your choices. Think about what you're gonna do. Think about, okay, these people are telling me this, but they are doing this. Does this actually match with their words? Does their actions actually match with their words? Now, you would have actually, as a sensible person, you would put that into consideration, with the fact that this administration actually also had, other 4 years prior to this, back in 2017, and then think for yourself, okay, they're telling me this, but they're doing this, so I might actually be in danger here. Let me vote for my best interest. Let me vote for, for my self-preservation. Let me vote for my self-preservation. But you didn't. You only voted for hatred. You voted for other Latinos to be deported, thinking that it was never going to affect you. Now, the Supreme Court has allowed the orange man to deport every Cubano, Venezuelan, Haitian, Nicaraguan, Latinos who came to the United States on humanitarian parole. They don't care. This is after actually, revoking the Cuban Adjustment Act. This is after revoking the Venezuelan temporary protective status. This is after doing all that, they're still going hard on you. They're still actually looking for ways to deport you back to your countries. They are wanting to actually make you illegal if you are even legal in the country. Those of you who came on humanitarian parole and you already have green cards, they want to revoke those green cards so that you become illegal. They want to illegalize your legality. I don't know if that English actually makes sense, but this is what they're doing. You know, they're showing you that you are never actually going to be one of them. Now, as we have seen in one of the videos, a Latino actually explaining the problem of these Latinos, especially Cubans and, you know, especially Miami Cubans, Venezuelans. You know, they think that they are better than other Latinos. They are looking to be on the same table with the people that they think are superior to them, that they're never getting there because they're not being actually given or invited to the table. And when they see other immigrants, it reminds them of who they are. You know, they have actually gone to the extent of claiming, you know, them Cubans in Miami, that they're the whitest of all, you know, Latinos, looking for that out. Looking for that white adjacency. You know, you want to be white so much, you want to be Caucasian so much. This is self-hatred. This is self-hatred to your own Latin, you know, heritage. This is self-hatred of who you were and how you look, because you're always looking for white adjacency. You want to be closer to the person or to the people who are actually kicking you out of the table. You're never gonna get to the table. Well, let me know in the comment section, guys. What do you think about Miami Cubans, especially, you know, being deported back to their country and their humanitarian parole being ended by the Orange Man's administration? I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. Drop me your opinions in the comment section below. Let's keep the conversation going there. Don't forget to hit that like button and see you on the next episode.